Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Zelda Speedruns, where we have round 2 tonight in season 4 of the NMG League for Link to the Past. Bydey versus Chexhuman tonight in an 0-1 matchup in the Tower of Hera division. Joined on comms by Matt and Clearmouse. How are you two doing?
Doing wonderfully tonight. Thanks, Coz.
Yeah,
Matt, how
thanks
are
a
you?
lot. I'm fantastic. Looking forward to this match.
Oh yeah, this is definitely a very, very exciting matchup. Everybody, every single matchup, it doesn't matter what combination you take, for the record, in the Tower of Hera division is extremely competitive, extremely scary. I didn't even know if I were a competitor, and by the way, you are also a competitor. I don't know if you wanted to win or lose, like to try and get an easier opponent for the following week, because everyone is so scary.
Yeah, there are no easy matchups.
Yeah. So as Kuz mentioned, that this is a 0-1 matchup, so the second week of essentially what it is, like a Swiss / round robin type of thing. Chex played Fox, did maybe alluding to Bydey's file name. Some mishaps were happened. Bydey played Gem last week. Also, maybe not the same exact mishap, but they're certainly looking to improve their situation for week 2.
See, Bydey's looking hyped up in his camera here, so hopefully we're gonna get a good race ahead of us.
Oh yeah, Bydey actually, I think he's actually one of the guys who actually I really enjoy watching, because he has such positive energy. Like, he just jams, and he just seems like he's always just having so much fun with the game, which is just like, it's just extremely infectious as well. It doesn't also hurt, by the way. He's like an amazing rider. His NMG time is pretty nuts.
Yeah, so you may be noticing on Chex's side that Link looks a little bit different. That while this is NMG League, this season we are doing the Randomizer ROM Vanilla preset, which is similar to NMG, but with a few differences. Like, you can choose your own sprite, you can add different music, they're going to allow quick swap, there's a few extra glitches that we will showcase later, and most importantly, there are almost no text boxes. As you see, Uncle has nothing to say to us.
He has something to say to us, for the record, at the very beginning. I don't even catch what it was, because I think we were just so conditioned at this point to not read text boxes. But yes, you are absolutely correct in that the few text boxes that we do have a zero relevancy.
Yeah, so what is that, the Breath of the Wild link there on Chex's
Yeah,
side?
actually that's what it looked like to me too. Breath of the Wild, or I guess because a somewhat more recent game has also kind of superseded it. Tears of the Kingdom. I know that Chex has been streaming that and playing that quite a bit. It did also seem to suck in many people's time when it first came out. Basically, it's like Breath of the Wild sequel, but also like times like 50 basically in terms of gameplay. So a lot of people, I think, were very much enjoying it. Bydey, remembering that it is randomizer, as you had mentioned, did not quite maybe remember that he does not need a map. But see, as you pointed out, Matt, luckily we have no text boxes to get in our way, so his muscle memory for a randomizer is not punished as precisely.
It's funny because Bydey is like one of the people in this league that I haven't seen play much randomizer, as he's really more from the speedrun side. I noticed that he is in the mentor tournament of this year, so it looks like he's trying to learn how to play rando a bit better, and I guess he's been practicing a little bit too much if he's opened up that map chest.
Yeah. All standard start. Yeah, like mentor tournament. I think it's actually a really good place to be able to just kind of get your feet wet for rando. I think I've also seen him kind of like on some sign up sheets for, I think like he signed up for like Casual Boost tournament that's upcoming as well. So I mean, all like really cool actually to see Bydey kind of get into kind of like more like the randomizer scene. And of course, certainly with rando comes his own kind of set of abilities, but also his NMG execution is going to really carry him through quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And a randomizer is not going to guarantee it's going to be a map of that chest.
That is also true. So yeah, we saw the first little bit of test for these two runners, the ball and chain guard. A little bit, a couple right slashes on Chex's side, but once you get that guy down, it's a little bit calming of your nerves in a race situation. That's kind of the first little scary thing that you have to do.
Yeah, I mean, from Chex is on record for saying that the ball and chain guard is considered to be the hardest boss in the entire game. So from Chex's perspective, I think because we got the hardest boss out of the way, everything else should be smooth sailing from here, right?
It is deceptively difficult.
When you are on 3 hearts and not much more probably to your name other than that blue boomerang and the fighter sword that does not, yes, as we've seen, do that much damage on one swing. Yes, it is extremely difficult in order to scrape by in one piece. Just like these green guards, they just really want to. It looks like they just trying to crowd Bydey basically as he's trying to get through that hallway.
Yeah, both guys taking a little bit of a beating, probably a little bit behind where they'd like to be, but you know, we're still in escape. There's really not a whole lot that's gonna eat up too much time.
Yeah, but you know, and they're also, speaking of escape though, they're also going to be employing the famed rando strat only in a dream, where they're going to be able to skip the back escape because they're going to know what's back there, and they certainly do not need those resources. They can barely, you know, find their own way basically when they make their way over to Eastern Palace.
That is true. Let's see this snake hallway RNG, pretty bad RNG on both sides actually. Yeah, we in this case, like both Bydey and Chex are streaming with Cam, and Chex made quite the face actually when all those ropes just kind of swarmed him. So very understandable. But you know what? It's almost kind of like getting practice with dead rocks. You know, like the ropes are basically the dead rocks of the sewers. Never thought about it that way. That's a good point.
Yeah. Oh no, Chex getting stuck on the door. No, it's one of the worst places to get stuck.
Not bad key rat RNG on both sides there. And you see on Chex's health, if he takes one more hit, he'll be down to 1 heart. And if this was normal NMG, you get a little bit of a time discount from having low health on the text box and Sanctuary, but that is not the case in the randomizer ROM.
Yes, as you mentioned before, there are almost no text boxes. We have, I think, already gone through like probably a third of the total text boxes, right? So we saw one at the very beginning with Uncle. We're gonna see, I think, one on Blind because he has a, you know, like a funny pun, you know, haha joke, and I believe also Ganon, I guess, also wants to, you know, run his mouth because, you know, if one of his minions can do it, surely, you know, he has the power to, right? Because he's like, you know, the ultimate guy at the very end.
Yeah, you see both runners picking up the Sanctuary Heart, and then in NMG races normally you see almost everybody pick that up as well, but in the rando ROM, since there's no text box, the cost of picking it up is a little bit lower.
Yeah, as you said, no text boxes, right? We don't actually need to know in this case that this is a full heart container and that it will refill our heart. We do not need 4 heart pieces also in order to get a full heart container. None of that knowledge, we are just ingrained with that knowledge already, so... Yeah, but looks like Bydey, yeah, a little bit ahead of compared to Chex, kind of going towards Eastern Palace, but honestly, just really like 1 screen's worth of difference. You know, just a little bit of RNG here and there, and then suddenly things are going to be pretty, I would say, pretty even.
Yeah, Bydey's quite a strong Light World player in normal NMG, so I would expect him to do quite well in the Light World in this as well.
Oh, really? Okay, that's actually really good knowledge. Yeah, it's Light World seems I think similar. I mean, at least from my opinion, similar to like the Ball and Chain. Light World seems deceptively difficult. I don't know. Maybe it's just like the low health. Maybe it's like the low. Maybe it's just I don't know. Just the sheer difficulty trying to go fast. Seems very difficult.
Yeah, I'm terrible at Light World. Bydey's much better than me. I don't know how he does it.
Okay, so I'm very proud of Bydey. We're already in the first official dungeon. He has learned from his past mistakes of escape that he does not need, in this case, the map, nor the 100 rupees, I think, from the cannonball chest. So we're going straight, basically, you know, towards the big chest and the big key. In this case, you know, he has not learned anything about compasses because there was no compass in Hyrule Castle. Hopefully he was going to skip this. Oh, you know, great job, Bydey. I'm very proud of you.
We're learning.
Yes. Chex, though, seems, you know, so Chex, of course, a veteran rando runner, and in fact, you know, as we kind of alluded to earlier, we are actually going to see some kind of rando specific things. The routes that these runners are going to take is actually going to be, I would say, pretty significantly different in when we get to Dark World, because so in regular NMG, there is a very a coveted item called the Kingdom of Samaria in Mire. Typically, we don't really visit that dungeon until pretty late in the run, but because that item is so powerful, and in a randomizer, they actually allow you to do some pretty cool skips or sequence breaks, which they're gonna try and get that, you know, as soon as they can. And of course, Chex being a glitch runner, most of the glitches that, you know, are certainly not allowed probably in the no major glitches set. But he is quite he's quite a veteran basically with that Kingdom of Samaria.
Yeah, and the other thing you notice is that when they get a few more items that they don't have to use the start menu to change items, they can quick swap with their L and R buttons. And in my opinion, quick swap actually makes the game harder, not easier. Quick swapping is like a challenging skill to get down. You don't have the menu buffers to judge your position in certain places, and there are a lot of interesting places you can use quick swap to use items you wouldn't normally have access to because of the time cost of the menu in normal NMG. And if we see some of those come out, we can point them out later.
Yeah, that's actually a really good observation as well. Because like sometimes you just kind of a lot of the things when Quickstop first came out, or at least became I guess more mainstream in like the non-entrance versions of the randomizer. Everyone I think was kind of saying like, oh, like menu is a skill, and which it by the way, for the record, it still is. But Quickswap is definitely not exactly like a free, I guess like kind of ability to just be able to like pick up and master, right? You still do need, as you said, practice. Oh no, the red Igor.
Yeah, Chex missed the pot, so he fell a little bit behind there and just waited out the cycle.
I think it's also very fair. I mean, these red Igors are also pretty dangerous as well. 1 heart of damage per hit, and so one misstep can certainly be quite dire for Chex. Does get the 5 arrow drop at the very end from the second Igor, so at least we're looking pretty good in terms of ammunition.
Not too much separation here.
Yeah.
Coming out of Eastern Palace.
Also, another nice thing about the randomizer for vanilla preset, so in regular NMG, right, the magic minute marker is right around like the 11-minute mark, where we finally go talk to Sahasrah and go get our boots. We are looking at the timer now. It is definitely significantly less than 11. And not only by talking, I just mean we're literally just going to grab the boots and then just dash straight out. Ooh, never mind. Chex is going to, I guess, stay in Sahasrah. Ooh, actually interesting. Just picking up
I was going to say, okay, I was like,
okay. So it was a very interesting, decision if he was literally only going to pick up the bombs. But so this is certainly something I think that I don't even actually think he does in vanilla, the regular NMG. I think he still goes for 2 rupees, but kind of interesting in that he would actually going to go through Saha rupees in this particular randomizer. Yeah,
and it's another thing with the time cost, right? Like in normal NMG, 3 rupees save about 6 seconds, I think. But you get a little bit of a discount because you don't have to look at that text box when you open that bomb chest, so it makes the Saha rupees a bit more viable. I think there are places where you could use those bombs potentially. I don't know if you want to bomb climb going up to Hera. I don't know if he does that, but maybe he'd get a little bit more of that time back.
Yeah, actually, I think bomb climbing is actually, it's significantly cheaper, right? One, especially if you get Saha bombs, right? You just have to get more resources to your name, but also you can also just swap over to bombs, right? You don't have to menu to them. Yeah, a lot of the things you also mentioned earlier is that you just have the ability to kind of like unlock different types of, in this case, quick swap or random specific strats.
Yes, and so the other aspect of the randomizer ROM that is going to become very relevant now is that the boss RNG is seeded. So they will have the exact same Landmo patterns for the Landmo's fight coming up in Desert Palace. I mean, the Armos fight that they just had was seeded, but Armos fight is always the same. So it's very interesting in these races to see how different runners handle the same RNG. And also, if you fall a bit behind, you can actually watch your opponent and see what happens on that screen. And it becomes particularly relevant like when people do different routes. Like you can see your opponent, maybe they do Mire early and you don't, and you can just look. It's like, is that far left eyeball going to be the one coming out? Do I have to even prepare for that? You can actually utilize that to your advantage.
Yeah, it actually can be actually like a very viable strategy, as you said too, right? Because if you kind of know like what's coming, right, it actually kind of maybe gives you a little bit of time, just a little bit of extra edge, right, to kind of try to prepare yourself. Part of, in this case, maybe not having necessarily as good a fight, or it's just not knowing what to expect, right? So if something unexpected happens, you're kind of like scrambling and reacting, as opposed to knowing, in this case, like being directed as to what to do. So certainly very fair. But of course, granted, that being said, you are still, the reason why you can do this is because you are behind, right? So the whole point is that you can basically save a bit of time as opposed to, I guess, even get, even further behind. Yeah, but actually, so you mentioned Bydey is actually very, very excellent at Light World. I mean, his Light World so far, entirety basically has been quite clean so far.
Yeah, both guys are playing pretty solid.
Yeah. In terms of, I guess, like the difference between vanilla randomizer for preset and NMG in Light World, not going to be too much difference in terms of routing. I guess like with the exception in this case, Chex actually did opt to go to get Saha rupees, but in terms of major dungeon progression, it's going to be about the same.
Yeah, there's a few different routes you can take in Dark World. I'm curious to see what both these guys do because I don't know. And here's another up on Bydey's side. So normally you'd see people going for a spin speed here, but without the menu buffer, it becomes extremely risky. And I think there are still some people going for it, but if you fall off there, you lose a lot of time, and
Yeah.
that spin speed does not save that much time. And without the menu, the risk, at least to me, and I think to a lot of other people, it's just not worth the time save.
No, that's definitely true. I think unless you were super comfortable with it, and super comfortable is all relative, by the way, or with that thing without the original menu buffer, like you probably will still do it here. But yeah, a lot of people who I think still do the spin speed out of desert, definitely use that menu buffer to their advantage.
See, Bydey, they're also using the boomerang to get that key. That's another thing. There's a lot of good places to use the boomerang in this game that aren't worth it in NMG because of the menu that you have to use to get to it. But in Rando, you can use that boomerang however you want.
Yeah, and especially at this stage, as you mentioned, right? We're still pretty early. We have, I don't know, like 2 items. Bydey has only the bow and the boomerang in his inventory, no bombs. So very easy gonna just be, tap R, tap L, right? To be able to get to the boomerang. Okay, so Bydey is starting his Landmola's fight. Does not actually look like he had the happiest of first cycles, unfortunately. Oh no, the fight is going somewhat off the rails here.
Yeah, this is a challenging pattern, but
all right, he does actually get and actually the last Lambo down though. Actually, quite the nice recovery in that very last cycle. Chex is, as you said, right? This the boss RNG is seated, and Chex is not looking like he is having a much better time.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna be downloading this seed after these guys are going there to try and run it. This is pretty nasty.
All right. Oh, really nice save actually on Chex's side. That I have no idea how those arrows are gonna go, but here we are. So okay. And I think actually for what it's worth, in vanilla, Chex, this is actually when Chex decides to actually menu to the boomerang. So you can actually potentially use the boomerang to boomerang out like the buzz blob right before Death Mountain. And randomizer, you don't have to. Well, in this case, I guess like in the vanilla game, it's also pretty free in order to get that menu buffer because the menu to boomerang. But in this case, it's actually kind of free for anybody who wants to use it. I guess like the difference would be that you don't have to decide a priori, that you want to switch the boomerang. You can, kind of gauge like where the buzz blob is, and then if you need it, quick swap over. And if you don't, all good. One fewer button input.
Some people shoot one of the guys with an arrow too, and that way you can always make sure you save that arrow if you don't want to do the menu.
Yeah, also very fair. Yeah, it looks like actually. Speaking of arrows though, I don't know if you like are. I guess like. I mean, like, is 7 arrows still okay, I guess, for Bydey coming out of the Lamola's fight?
It depends on what his route is. If you do the early mire, you really have to manage your arrows carefully.
Right.
But if you don't, then it really doesn't matter.
Okay, that's actually. See, I think that would be probably another, I guess maybe like a resource conscious difference, right? Is that especially, I guess, we're really focused, I guess, on like the kind of like the major items, right? You would like Samaria in this case, probably specifically for Ice Palace, right? In this case, you can do kind of the icebreaker to try and save you a bunch of time in Ice Palace. But resource-wise, like the original NMG route is very resource optimized as well, and so. Also, very good point is that you do kind of want some extra arrows that you may not have going into that fight.
Oh, looks like Chex switching to bombs. Here we go, getting some value from that. Yeah. Oh no, not do it. Oh yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah, nice. No, we're good. Nicely done, Chex. Gotten that extra speed. I really like these rando things, you know. So Bydey actually using the boomerang fully to his advantage, using it to pick up the small key. Doesn't even have to, I guess, like walk too much further down, right, into the room.
Yeah, in this room Bydey's in, normally in normal NMG you have to do, I guess Bydey's opting not to do this, but maybe Chex will, you normally have to do like a challenging boom dash if you want to get the iframes to have a break in that room, but Bydey could use an arrow to shoot that switch if he wanted to.
Yeah, looks like, yeah, so it looks like, yeah, Bydey's probably just gonna, you know, sit there, chill out a bit. All good, you know, this is kind of like where you, especially after the landless fight, for both runners, certainly would not necessarily hurt in order to kind of just, you know, to reset, prepare yourself both physically and mentally, you know, for the upcoming Moldorm fight. That never gets easier, it seems like. Chex, unfortunately, looks like he's missing the pegs, and this is not probably a situation where he is interested in trying to death warp, so he just is going to.
Yeah, he kind of jailed himself in there, unfortunately. And yeah, in a race situation, Hera is usually the scariest split. It's, for me personally, it's like once you get past Hera, you're like, okay, now the run can, I can relax a little bit.
True, yes. Yeah, Hera, especially Moldorm, can certainly be quite the, I guess, like light world gatekeeper. Because, you know, well, certainly, you know, one's also very just difficult in order to get out, but once you're done, right, everything is just to be fun and comforting from there on out.
Yeah, there's different ways you can do this bomb jump. See what both these guys opt for. Looks like Bydey's going for the traditional spin setup. I find the spin setup even more challenging in the randomizer ROM. So one thing that the randomizer does is it introduces a bit more lag, and so in kind of resource-intensive rooms like this petting zoo here, the lag can really throw off that bomb jump.
So I guess in this case, like, is the lag kind of like mainly caused in this case by the Kadonkos, like on the left side? So can you like try and maybe position the camera to like not kind of show them, or you just have to get lucky that they're basically just not shooting fireballs?
I'm scared to answer that question because Fox is gonna get mad at me if I'm wrong.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Fox, you can answer. Speaking of the, let's see, Bydey is
really nice
party. Yeah, holy cow, that was a very fast Moldorm fight. Not even that long in the rage state as well. Oh no!
They both. You notice that they both got rejected out of the arena by Moldorm.
Yeah,
showcasing that same
Boss
RNG.
RNG is seated. Oh, that was really good. Yeah, right dash turn right basically for the slash for Chex to take down Moldorm. So really cool to see. Awesome. Okay, so this is in this case where Bydey's gonna spend a little bit of extra time, you know, on his side that Chex had already spent. So you know, the fact that Bydey certainly does have some amount of money, but he does not have enough in this case for pot. So he's actually going to go do the regular true rupees. He's going to spend a little bit of extra time basically setting that up. Versus Chex, he is just going to run straight through Lost Woods. Doesn't have to worry about killing any enemies. Doesn't have to worry about preserving his health while he would still like it for sword beams in Aga Tower. But we don't have to worry in this case about preserving any tree pulp price packs.
Yeah, it's where Chex gets the refund on the time he spent in the Desert Palace split.
Oh, this Lost Woods for Bydey is just piling on those sprites, basically. The randomizer is already pretty bad with that mushroom in that spot, but Bydey also got pretty unlucky with the guard as well.
Yeah, Bydey's on a pretty good pace. One thing about running in these races is that when you go for PB attempts in this, like, you can just play the same seed over and over again, so you usually always get a 2-cycle landmo, so it's always for me like kind of tough to try and beat a PB light world with a random seed. So these guys, they don't get to bring their own seed. The seed is rolled for them randomly in the race room.
Yeah, unlike the qualifier, right? It was just basically one seed, right? One hash. So I guess that's actually kind of the nice thing too, is that if you were actually trying to make your time better, you kind of already know the boss RNGs going in.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people using that qualifier seed to do just PB attempts.
Yeah, I think it's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, because like when this came out, I don't remember when it came out. It was like a year or two ago. Like I played it once, and I was like, okay, that was kind of fun. And there was no real reason to do the randomizer vanilla. And with this league, it now gives everybody a reason to do it. So now there's a lot of people playing it, which is really nice.
Yeah, no, that's actually really cool to see. All right, Bydey, first one, of course, into Aga Tower. So we are actually quite happy. So he did get all of his requisite triples. And of course, also without taking any health damage as well. So we're gonna basically be able to do Castle Tower pretty much the NMG way, because right now, no more routing difference. So it's just gonna be pure execution at this point.
Yeah,
Checks also doing very well.
You've seen Bydey change his strats up there for that first room because he is short on arrows.
Oh, right, good point. Yeah, the Lamolas were certainly not very friendly this evening.
Nice friendly maze on Bydey's side, and yeah, and while the boss RNG is seeded, the normal enemy RNG is not. So these guys will get different patterns in these kill rooms and just normal enemies.
Yeah, also probably, I guess that also carries, right, from even if you play the same seed over and over, you won't in this case get kind of like the same, in this case, yeah, as you said, random guard RNG, right, maze RNG. Oh no, that was an unfortunate bug, let's check the side. I was also thinking just maybe some of the more prominent enemies that you probably care about, like for Turtle Rock, for example, right? Sometimes you get Pokey RNG, that's always going to be different. Okay, sorry, I mean, not always, but it is, they're independent events.
Yes. That's Circle of Pots rooms. That's another room where you really want to utilize your menu, and can kind of go off the rails sometimes when you get certain RNGs, and they're tough to react to without the menu buffer. Really nice use of the boomerang in that room by Chex to alert the guards.
Yeah,
something you've never seen in NMG.
I actually really like the incorporation of the boomerang. Again, like our inventory, especially in the light world, is just so limited, so kind of like swapping over the boomerang is actually really cheap, but also it's just like you see all these tiny little time saves, right, where original NMG or in the vanilla game you basically don't even have that option, right, because every single time you menu is like an extra second, and that's just something that you just basically can't afford.
Yeah, so we're coming up probably the most important aspect of the boss RNG for the vanilla preset is that the Aghanim 1 fight will and the Aghanim 2 fight for that matter, will always give you no blue balls. So there's gonna be no variance in time from this fight, unlike normal NMG.
This one's just kind of basically going through the motions, right? Hoping in this case that he doesn't, he being the wizard, doesn't really move all that much, just kind of get through. And then we can basically go on to the comfort, of Dark World for the remainder of the run. The vanilla preset run, honestly, is it's almost kind of like, so with maybe the exception of a few, lulls, I guess, like for example, like Hera Basement, maybe in this case sometimes like consider like the Aghanim fight because it almost is kind of like an auto-scroller. The game is actually very much just kind of like non-stop action, right? You're just basically going from dungeon to dungeon. You don't even, so from a, let's say, viewer's perspective, right? I think it's really, fun because you certainly just basically kind of get to see really nice room executions, right? A lot of high skill showcase. Maybe from a runner, like mashing text boxes may not necessarily be the worst thing in the world between, probably, let's just say, like strenuous either room executions or like maybe just had like kind of like a shaky boss fight, right? You're just willing to you will kind of like an extra 30 seconds kind of shake off before your next split type of thing.
Yeah, just like Checks there in his camera getting up to let the cat in or out, and he has no time because there's no post item cutscene.
That's true. So Hasrilla basically is already telepathically, I guess, async told us in our mind where to go. Already marked a map for us. Doesn't even need to tell us, basically have us wait. Okay, right. So in this case, so Pod, so Bydey and Chexhuman soon to be in Pod. We are actually going to come up here with a pretty famous bomb jump, which is the Hammer Yum. Basically going through like a pretty narrow bridge, pixel perfect jump in order to go get to the hammer. So, you did mention earlier, Matt, about kind of giving up a lot of menu buffers due to quick swap. Is this basically like something you would also do without quick swap? And menu buffering?
Well, I'm not. Some people do the hammering up without menu buffering. I'm not one of those people. I did like learn it, and it sucks, and I'm not gonna do it.
Fair. That's also very fair. It just seems like it's very difficult, I guess, and maybe that's actually one of the things that you're probably more thankful for. You being the general you, for the vanilla game, because again, right, you're forced to menu, right, because of bombing open the walls. You may as well use that menu buffer to your advantage. Here, it's kind of hard in order to kind of like give up that type of optimization.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to give up like one of the menu buffers, especially if you only do single bomb. And if you like know the sword queue on the second position, it's not that bad. But giving up both is pretty aggressive.
Mm-hmm. I have also heard of some pretty dark rumors that you could essentially not use any bomb jumps, and you could just basically use the boost to their full advantage. But we're not going to talk about that type of strat here. It has. I don't think I've actually seen anybody really use it, I think, in any type of race setting so far.
Nice adjustment there by Bydey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like Bydey is
nice.
use,
Diagonal sword buffer there. Well done.
Oh no, the Bari! Baris are just as mean in Rando than they are in in vanilla, if not meaner.
Yeah, the other thing about Pod in this is that losing more than one heart is not quite as punishing, because you can refill your hearts with slightly less time cost in this.
Oh, good point. I guess we're gonna... Okay, so right, Bydey's actually off one heart, probably the more expected one. Actually, looks like he is just not gonna even do that.
Also,
but we actually... Yeah, but actually we actually see, like, in this case, Bydey kind of showing off a very slight speed optimization as if we get to, hammer dash, right? Kind of just like, we normally see that coming out of Pod going, down through the bridge pegs. There is nothing stopping you in this case from pegging down the pots as well. It's just that in regular NMG, you don't want to, I guess, like, menu to the hammer in order just because it costs extra time.
Yeah, this is telling me that Bydey does not do early mire if he's not picking up the hearts and just... leaving Pod with 0 arrows.
Yeah, I was that final arrow. I guess. Well, actually, what is he gonna do here? I guess we're just gonna swap over the boomerang. Yeah. All right, not gonna be the end of the world. I guess like we don't want to have yeah. And Rando, sometimes if you have the ice rod, that's actually not a bad thing to use. But yeah, we're definitely not gonna get the ice rod this early.
I meant to point out too, we did see Chex not use the pause buffer for the hammer jump in the second position. He just like walked perfectly onto it, and I guess knew what he was looking for. The thing about Bydey not getting that hard is that he does have one less hit on Helmasaur, but 6 hearts is still plenty, especially I'm assuming he usually skips Sank Heart in normal NMG, so it should be pretty comfy.
Yeah, so from what I remember in Race 1, Bydey was not able to successfully land spin speed, and this was unfortunately maybe the reference he was making in Game 1, where he should not die. He was very successful this time around, so how much better to basically take down your fears than just to face them straight on.
That's true. That was also a very very friendly Helmasaur pattern.
No complaints. After that Lamos fight, I don't really, for the game to kind of give us a break on Helmasaur, I'm certainly not going to complain.
Chex also handling that extremely well.
Yeah, really, really well done. The comforting to be able to have basically like a 0-hit Helma fight. Definitely one of the early run stoppers for basically like a lot of these NMG runs. So I'm really glad to be able to see both of them just kind of conquer out Helmasaur. Speaking of though, also coming out of Pod, not getting Laudoed on Bydey's side, always something really cool to see as well. No reason to kind of lose 2 hearts for absolutely no reason. Hopefully Chex will have something similar. Oh my gosh.
You see, on Bydey's side here, this like shovel flute gathering sequence, this is what quick swap makes the hardest. It's so hard to do this well without menu buffers. Because you
think
just
you're
kind of try
actually
to walk
right.
into the quick warp position there. I can't tell on Bydey's screen if you got it or not. We did. And then you have to
Yeah.
know how many quick swaps. The flute launches like twice as far, and you're like, what am I doing? And then you kind of not grab the tree, and like and then you got to remember to press L and R to not dig, and when you're trying to activate the flute.
Yeah, it actually, I think you're right, because in this case, right, as part of the randomizer, right, so, right, in the vanilla game, right, once you, in this case, dig up the flute, it kind of gets replaced, right, in the shovel, so you can't really access the shovel anymore, right, but in randomizer, it's not really going to be an option for you, because you could find the flute and shovel in different points of time, and then also, of course, this spot doesn't have to have the flute, right, you can have something else, so you really need access to both things, so in order to kind of swap items within the same item location, you need, yeah, L and R to, and it, right, just this, as you mentioned, the sequence just seems to be a lot of sudden inputs, like in a very, very short amount of time.
Yeah, you want to be in very particular positions with particular items out like very quickly in sequence, and so without the pause buffers, it makes it a little bit harder.
He's also just having like a really clean Dark World also so far. Like his execution and movement has actually been really good.
Yeah, his pot was like a 511. That's really good. That's like the only split that I know timing stuff, but I know that's good. I guess that in GT.
Mm-hmm. I guess yeah. I guess they're pretty similar. I guess maybe in Rando versus Vanilla as well. Yeah, but definitely Chex is not far behind. And again, at this point, we haven't really gotten to the point where there's going to be some potential route divergence. So it's at this, so outside kind of like of the randomizer execution differences, right? Clip swapping, boomerang, all these kind of like maybe like minor optimizations. The route, relatively speaking, has still been pretty similar.
Yeah, none of the routes diverge, I don't think, until after Skullwoods. So once that happens, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Bydey almost got Bunny Beam. He was pixels away from that thing, basically just ruining his entire day.
I'm really enjoying Chex's MSU. Do you know what this is?
This is Shovel Knight, actually.
Yeah. I
it is actually really good.
It.
It is actually quite good. Yeah, I think you mentioned this before, right? As part of the randomizer. This is also, I think, just another like one of those appeals that kind of like I think helped draw a lot of new runners basically into both the randomizer as well as in this case like the vanilla speedrun. Is okay. One is certainly lack of text boxes. Two is just you actually get to listen to basically like fan-made MSU packs or like basically soundtracks, right? So instead of like the regular dungeon music, you get to hear basically game music from I don't even know how many MSU packs there are, right? But this one is from Shovel Knight. Chex in this Chex. Cubs said it's a Secret of Mana. Is that right? So I mean, yeah, like you have like so much different variety. Also, I think you put out earlier was Chex's sprite is from Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom. Last I checked, there are 491 sprites available for you to use and to choose from. That's a lot of variety right there. So every single randomizer, right, you could basically play as something different.
Yeah, and the other thing is when you roll a randomizer ROM, you can just turn off the background music and play your own music and keep the sound effects, right? And it's like one of the worst things about NMG is you just have to listen to the same music over and over and over again. But like moving that is like super nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and for the record, like the original Link to the Past soundtrack is actually very, very high quality. It just happens to be when you end up speedrunning this thing, right? A little variety really, doesn't hurt to break up the monotony. Maybe my only warning is especially for sprite usage. So right now we're kind of showcasing, in this case, Bydey's using the vanilla Link. Chex is using a very similarly shaped Link sprite. There are many sprites out there that are not maybe quite Link shaped. I think you can play as like the chicken, for example. You can play as a Coke can, or in this maybe you start out as a Sprite can, and so like these types of sprites tend to be differently shaped, right? So especially if you're maybe more dependent on like the visual cues, maybe like shadow, lack of shadow, like where Link's ears are, in terms of like bomb jumping or like visual cues like that, you might just have to kind of like adjust your, just adjust accordingly, basically for the sprite that you're using.
Still think there's that.
Yeah.
there's that outline Link sprite. I think if you're like really try-harding, like I think that's the sprite you use.
Oh,
you
dude,
can like
that Link...
see the most stuff, right? Really nice blind fight there on Bydey side, by the way.
Oh yeah, we also missed the second of 3 text boxes. Oh, we're gonna see the joke on Chex's side. Well, that was less exciting than what I was maybe hoping for, but it's still still a pun nonetheless. Again, as you mentioned, this the boss RNGs are seeded. There is of course a very common trope among Link to the Past, right? Is that the blind scribe is in fact scripted. Doesn't get any more scripted, I think, than what we see here.
Bydey about to get his tempered sword. Another nice thing is that you can stay on this screen and just walk right back into the house and grab your sword and be on your way. There's no running back and forth business.
Yeah, we also, for what it's worth, oh, nice chest turn, Chex. Always really cool to see. Yeah, and I think also there's been, some speculation about a potential different route of actually not getting tempered sword, and then eventually actually going after. I think it's I guess in this one it would be it's progressive. I think it's progressive swords. You get tempered in Pyramid Fairy instead. I don't think I've actually seen anybody actually go after that. I'm not actually sure if it's ultimately faster, but the trade-off is that you basically don't get temper sword until like pretty much like the very, very end.
Yes, no way that's faster.
Mm-hmm.
Nice job.
Oh, you just get gold sword. Okay, cool. Thank you for that correction. Yeah, I can't actually remember in this case if vanilla meant that you get progressive swords, or literally like the items are just hard coded, as in you get gold sword and silvers in this case from Pyramid Fairy.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that it wasn't progressive. It makes sense because I thought I remember when watching Fox do it that he was getting gold sword. That just never registered.
Oh yeah, I guess okay, yeah, that does make sense. Alright, speaking of though, we got, some people, commentator approved. The easiest room in the game on Bydey's side, soon to be on Chex's side. I believe, in theory, this room could be made actually just a little bit nicer because you have the quick swap option available to you.
Being able to use the boomerang in there really does make it free.
I don't actually think I noticed if Bydey actually used it. These Gyptos though also maybe okay. Gyptos definitely are trying to get Chex's attention much more often, unfortunately. Ooh. Didn't quite in this case, made the hand. Oh, and the Gypto was waiting for Chex as well, man. This entire room is just rude.
Both of them went left side. I hardly ever seen anybody go left side.
Maybe it's a rando thing. I don't know.
Maybe.
Now I'm gonna have to watch like whenever I watch people play random, I'm gonna have to see in this case what side they decide to dash on, because I don't think I've ever really like sat down and thought about it until now.
The thing is that this room that Chex is in, where you get the fire rod, you can choose to mirror out of here as opposed to going in the pit. Yeah, it's not Bydey mirror, I think. You can save a heart by mirroring, and it's barely different.
Oh really? Oh, that's actually really good to know that. Oh, because in this case of the quick swap difference, you could just quick swap over to mirror, you don't have to cost yourself the extra second. Yeah,
I think it's only like 10 frames different.
Nice, okay. Alright, at least this Gypto was compliant with Bydey in this case. Yeah, going to Mothula hopefully should be a doable fight. Bydey does have, reasonable amount of help, so it should go well.
Nice. That's friendly. Nicely
done.
Oh
my gosh. Super well done. That is a 10 out of 10 fight. If you have Bydey Pog, feel free to use it, because that was quite the Pog fight on Bydey's side.
Alright, so now we get to see what route Bydey chooses to take. He's either going to flute to 1 or to 4. I'm guessing he's going to do the swamp route now. I guess I can just look at his splits, can't I? I want to be surprised.
I see Ether, Flippers.
Oh, right. I guess they're going to flute to 1 regardless. I actually don't know this route, but he is going to Swamp, not to Mire.
Oh, really? Okay, okay. Oh my gosh, though. Well, I guess like good thing he is going to Swamp because he did not really have a good time on Death Mountain. And you know, I guess if you're gonna go into Swamp on not full health, that is gonna be the dungeon to go to. A Chex, by the way, also very solid 9 out of 10 fight there. I mean, it's my god. Bydey almost got a large talk. Right, we only really ever want to see 3 text boxes. You know, at the very one at the beginning, the one that we can't avoid off of blind, of course, Ganon. We do not want any extra talk. We've already avoided all of the maidens and Saha. The ball and the bully don't have anything else good to say to us.
Chex is going to 8? What's he doing at 8? Is he
He's
gonna
getting...
water walk to get his flippers?
Dude.
I don't know if I've seen this one.
Oh, that's gonna be pretty amazing.
His splits say Swamp. I don't think I've seen Chex's route. I have definitely seen what Bydey's doing. He is. That's pretty cool.
Amazing. Yeah, I guess he was kind of like running off to like the side and hugging the edge. That crab definitely didn't help. But anytime you're in this case trying to like run up against an edge, he basically gonna set up the water rock. That's actually gonna be really, really cool. No
So,
flippers yet? Yeah. I was gonna say no flippers yet means that we actually still kind of keep our dash and like walking, you know, on water, as opposed to basically being stopped by the shallow water and then having to form the swim rest. Oh, sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, I was just gonna say this is another minor glitch that you don't see in the NMG run, but it is perfectly legal in NMG.
Yeah, Bydey also does save his own amount of time in getting his quick medallion and quick fish. Basically, you know, the hit circle is actually just still a hit box. It's still registered, and you know, summon the catfish regardless.
Yeah, and so you see both these guys going to get their flippers, but taking different routes to do so. So I guess Chex is just gonna flute to 4 coming out of here. When does he get Ether, I wonder? Maybe does he?
Maybe right before Meyer? I mean, actually, like, do you think this...
He's still gonna hit. I don't know. I have no idea what's happening.
Oh, that's actually... Yeah, I guess I wonder... Well, so I guess, like, with Quick Swap, right, like, the menuing, I guess, like, isn't gonna be as, I don't know, awkward or, I guess, predetermined, I guess, maybe, as much, or... I don't know. Maybe he just wants to try and limit his menu and, like, and how many he needs to Quick Swap, basically, you know, as much as he can.
Yeah, I just don't really understand that. If you're gonna do Swamp, why not always get Ether in Swamp? I don't know. Maybe Chex has his reasons. I'm not gonna question the man.
Yeah, we can always ask him. Nice. Also, minor glitch here on Chex's side. I think this is the first time we're actually seeing the dam. Probably looks like soon to be, as you kind of alluded to, on Bydey's side. Nice anti-fairy skiff, by the way. Is that, yes, we actually can use the mirror to delete a block as it basically is you're pushing and it's in the moving animation. So it's basically nice. It'll save kind of like a nice... Well, basically lets you get the dust screen. Really nice in the randomizer, because then you can get the chest and then also drain the swamp in the same trip. Maybe not as useful, unless you really force one of the bombs there.
I guess Chex just really wants to do the hook climbs to get the Ether. That makes sense. I don't know why I didn't think about that. I wonder how, so these routes are not the optimal route, but I don't know what the time difference is between these routes and the optimal routes, and what the time difference is between these 2 routes. I don't know if anybody's really figured all this out yet, because speedrunning this is still kind of relatively new. I think they're all pretty comparable, like within 10 seconds, but I'm really not sure.
Yeah, I think that's also very reasonable. And as you mentioned, right, the vanilla preset, I think it's always kind of like been around for a while. It may or may not have always been functional, but certainly it's gotten a lot more traction. Basically, you know, one from this tournament, but maybe also, you know, within the last like year-ish or so, right? So yeah, because there hasn't been, I guess, a lot of activity, right? And so now people are basically just trying out different things, right? Basically seeing what, you know, what sticks, what works, what's good, what's bad, you know, and what works for them, right? So.
Yeah, and like the whole reason why these guys are doing different routes than their NMG route is that you want to have the Cane of Samaria for Ice Palace, which allows you to do a glitch called Icebreaker, which saves, I think, around 20 seconds in rando NMG.
Yeah. And I guess in theory, like if you have the Canis Mari for Swamp, you can also do another probably like minor sequence break that's upcoming. Basically to bypass like the flood room, you don't have to like just go drain the water. You can basically just kind of hop right down as if just it's like indoor water walking basically. But you could actually do it also with bombs as well. I don't actually know if either of these guys are going to be interested, but this is also something that you would probably like to have the cane for. It is a way to do dive down, but you do not require it if you have a bomb available to you. It's just the pop version is going to be slower.
I know Chex does it because he's a cool setup for it that I've never seen and haven't bothered to learn, but I enjoyed it when I watched it.
All right, well then we're going to find out very shortly. And the unfortunate part about Swamp is that even a randomizer, unfortunately, we cannot skip the left side. Being in its, the big key being in its vanilla location and, well, the hook shot being in the big chest, it is something that we're going to have to still go get. But the good news is coming over the left side without the hook shot, you only have to do the left side, the right side, as opposed to, doing one side in randomizer, hopping back down, and then having to climb but all the way back up and doing the other side. Another reason.
Get his hook shot. Still pulling off a nice hook to that bot.
Yeah, Bydey's, so Bydey kind of looks, quote-unquote, behind Chex in this case. Chex has just done fewer things right now. Or in this case, where Bydey's done more things. So they're not basically quite evened out.
Yeah, Chex is a nice rod, whereas Bydey has an ether medallion.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is the setup I was talking about. He does like the, oh no.
Oh.
Still got one more chance. Those aha bombs coming in clutch right now.
Nice job, Chex. Yeah, that's actually just super smooth. And I've actually think I've seen at least in the, oh my gosh, I need to frame rule out these guys. Terrible. Yeah, I think in the vanilla preset, because in this case you already in this case like what's in the chest in the flood room, so you don't have to go open them. It is actually optimal to try to do diver down on the left side, so you basically are just that much closer to the door.
He looks like he's lining up the more familiar kind of dive in the water.
Yeah, this is exactly what it looks like.
Check's a little low on health going in this Argus fight. Gotta be a little careful if he drops his zero cycle.
Everything is okay. Big energy and hope for Chex. Great start so far. Oh my gosh, Chex!
No!
I'm sorry, Chex. That is really, oh my gosh, yeah. So Argus, while it is considered, certainly earlier in the chronological ordering for Dark World dungeons, so maybe, compared to, let's say, like bosses like Vitreous, Trinex, certainly maybe can be easier on the difficulty scale, but when you're trying to go fast, just like that ball and chain guard, when you're only on 3 hearts and you want to try and do optimal movement and making the fastest kill, it can be quite difficult if he tries to basically rushes you and you don't have that health buffer to spare.
Yeah, if you drop one of the last hits, then it's very easy just to get hit twice and there's nothing you can do about it. Speaking of Bydey, very nice zero cycle on his side.
Yeah. So actually, I don't know in this case if you would know the answer, but like if how much of Argus in this case do you know, or do you think is seeded, like to the point where like the big Argus guy kind of like moves towards you in the same manner? I assume in this case the little mini puffs are random.
I think we know from none of us ever zero cycling the vanilla the qualifier seed that every aspect of it is seeded.
Interesting. Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh.
But I don't know for sure.
No, I mean, given how many people and how many times that qualifiers he's been run, I fully believe you in that case. I'm sorry, Chex. But yeah, Argus looks like he is still moving pretty dang quickly, unfortunately. So it looks like Chex doesn't even really have time to do much more than basically just have to kind of run up and just hook slash. Oh my gosh, Argus, no. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Good cleanup on phase 2.
You see Bydey and Meyer here. So I believe the main reason why people do this route is that it gives you a little bit extra health buffer for Meyer. If you do Meyer right after Skull, which is what some other people are doing, you actually have less health than you normally would in NMG, whereas in this case, you have the same amount of health, assuming if you're someone who skips Sankar, you have the same amount of health that you normally would. So the dungeon is pretty similar, because on the boss of Mire, you want to purposely take a few hits of damage.
Right. And I guess maybe it also forces you. Right, Mire is probably like the dungeon where it's probably like the most prevalent that health is considered your primary resource. I think there's also maybe other things you can do, like Spark Gamble, right? Basically sacrifice 1 heart to see if you can get a damage boost in the right direction. I think also maybe notably, because in this case these guys just swamped before Mire, not only of course they had the extra health, but kind of actually we're seeing, I guess, like Chex now here on Death Mountain. He was very fortunate and skillful to... Okay, I almost spoke too soon. But he did not take any damage, right? So, but we actually did see Bydey take a couple hearts of damage. In order to get Ether, which is requisite to enter Mire, is actually kind of a nice thing to also have that, basically to tank the damage if you need to, right before Swamp, as opposed to right before Mire. Which of course you really want all the health you can get.
Yeah, you saw Chex climbing the stairs with his hook shot, and again, without the menu cost, the benefit of that is even greater in Rando NMG.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess having the hookshot here, I'm gonna assume, right, so in the, not only of course, oh nice Spark Ample there on Bydey's side as well, right, so not only of course do you can either get into Mire's first room, excuse me, with the hookshot or with the boots, and it looks like actually this could be a little bit faster, right, than like bonking over the pits.
Yeah, and that room where you grab the cane, that's the best place to have
oh,
hookshot
right,
in Mire.
Yeah, that's also very true.
That room is stressful when you only have boots in this situation. You're just like, oh, please don't bonk.
Okay, so obviously, like, I mean, this route, you know, while it may not be optimal, it actually does seem to afford you a lot of really nice, like, luxuries in terms of safety as well.
Yeah, I definitely understand, really watching it closely, why people do it. See Bydey setting up for some spooky action here. It looked like he did everything correctly. Yep, nice. Going for the dash setup to fire all the anti-fairy to hit the switch in the next room.
Yeah, really well done here on Bydey's side. Right, and I think you mentioned before, it's one of the, in this case, like one of the dangers that, well, we didn't really see, you know, either Chex or Bydey kind of fallen, especially in Mire 2, or going into Mire, is that, you know, their health was actually pretty high going in. One of the things that, you know, could, oh my god, holy frick, dude. Never mind, I'm just, wow, holy frick, Bydey. That was quite the fight on Vitreous. Really using that health as a resource.
The left arrow in Vitreous is something I'm not brave enough to do.
Oh my gosh. Hey, you know, like you're racing, you know, you're racing Chex, right? In NMG season 4, right? When else are you going to try and shake it out?
Alright, see Bydey. Looks like Bydey's getting his Ice Rod now for Ice Palace. Dude, there's so many different routes. It's interesting.
Does it actually make that big of a difference, I guess, in this case, like when you decide to get...
No,
when you decide to get the Ice Rod?
No, not at all. It shouldn't.
Okay. Yeah, because it actually kind of seems like just like regular randomizer, Ice Rod Cave is one of those locations where I don't know, it doesn't really seem like the best in this case in order to try and route it in with something.
Yeah, because like you saw Chex do that water walk to get to Zora, but if you're just going to Ice Palace, it's faster, just a flute there.
Did he actually call the flute? He must have, because the bird decided to come, you know, flying off the screen.
Oh no, I don't think that's quite how it works. I think you have to not have the bird come on the screen. Oh, it still did it. Okay.
Alright, well, you know, I guess, you know, if it works, it works. Really nice boomerang usage there again. I mean, you gotta see this probably more frequently in Rando, you know, maybe more frequently than not, but still, just really be a little cool to see. Again, another nice, you know, quick swap top optimization.
Alright, so coming up on Bydey's side, you'll see the reason why we do Mire before Ice Palace in this rule set. This glitch here is not legal in normal NMG, but it is legal under the randomizer rule set.
Yeah.
Really nicely done on Bydey's side, clipping through the rail there.
Very, very smooth. Yeah, broke that, you know, giant barrier like it was just nothing. Alright, Chex did very well. I would say more, you know, just a very clean victory fight there all around.
Yeah, you've seen Bydey go through the dungeon, and like sometimes you'll see runners like hit the switch to get through here, but I think we've all decided that it's faster not to hit the switch, which is interesting because like in older speedruns where that glitch is legal, we didn't go this way, but because you don't have the menu, I think it's faster in the randomizer ROM, so it's just another kind of interesting route change due to the quick swap.
Yeah, I think especially in randomizer, right? I don't know. It also just might be habit or something, or like, you definitely see the people basically hit the switch quite often. Unfortunately, Bydey did kind of take a nick with the iced alphas. Hopefully, that hit will not affect his cold stare fight here.
Nice single poke.
Oh my
Well
gosh,
done.
Yeah, that was super clean.
Yeah, another benefit of the icebreaker glitch is that there are many places in the normal Ice Palace route where you're just going to take damage, like in the conveyor room and the Ice Palace bomb jump, but you don't go in either of those rooms with the randomizer ROM. And even Bydey has the hook shot in Ice Palace, whereas not all runners do. So even that kind of spike chest, to get to that key, you can just hook shot across and not take damage there too.
You are, oh man, you know, sometimes you just gotta like watch things and kind of expect, you know, certain things that you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, I've seen this before. But yeah, that's actually a really good observation. Because I think in this case, like the optimal route kind of goes from what is it, mire to ice to swamp, right? You know, so you're doing swamp blast, right? So yes, without the hook shot, you're actually gonna take a little bit more damage. Not gonna be able to hook shot across. Yeah, those are really good points. Again, I mean, these are, I think, just like really cool things to people see, right? And honestly, like if you say in this case, like all these different routes maybe are kind of within 10 seconds of each other, and this is kind of like basically affords you a little bit more safety. You feel more comfortable. I mean, this I think is something that's very, very viable in order to do.
Yeah, and if you can get to cold stare with beams, there's this weird like single poke fire rod strat that I've seen that is faster. But I don't know how much faster. It looks very scary to do in a race on cold stare, but it is a thing you can do. So we're seeing Chex go for the not hit the switch route. This route is a little bit safer because you can't mess up Icebreaker if you don't hit the switch, unless you can find a different way to get magic, because you need to use your cane twice, and then you only get 2 magic pots. But with this route, you only need to use the cane once, so if you mess up Icebreaker, you can have another chance at it.
Oh, nice. Well, I mean, Chex definitely did not need a second chance. That was like as smooth as basically as Icebreaker was gonna go.
Yeah, Chex is like a extremely experienced glitch runner, so doing Icebreaker is probably very second nature to him.
Yeah. I mean, he also has 2 like glitch block emotes as you know, as part of his repertoire. So I certainly would expect nothing less from him. Alright, all things said and done though, Bydey is up the mountain, he is in Turtle Rock, also another, I guess, like quick swap version of doing torches. So sometimes people, in this case, like pause right after lighting the last torch so they can menu to hookshot and kind of hook over to basically get off the conveyor belt. In this case, it looks like Bydey's just kind of like waited things out, basically quick swap over to hookshot and then take its exit.
See Chex going into his own cold stare fight. So we're setting up a single poke again. Ooh. Nicely done.
Oh my gosh, nice job, Chex. Yeah, it actually looked like the puffs were gonna get away from Chex, but Chex did a really nice job corralling them basically back right forward. This is the power of Tempered Sword.
All right,
So we
now,
could have, yeah.
I
No,
was
go
gonna
for
say
it.
Chex already has his ice rod, so he's gonna meet Bydey in Turtle Rock now.
Yeah, so actually, like, so at this point, we're pretty much stocked full on inventory, right? Like, we don't really have anything else, I guess, like, in order to get. So, and right, I think you mentioned, so in an NMG run, right? You don't usually have some sort of like menu tracker, or item tracker for that matter. But I think maybe some people, including yourself, maybe also has like an item tracker in rando, so you kind of like know what your menu looks like. Right, because in this case, you don't really get to see it because you quick stop all the time.
Yeah, I kind of stopped using it, but I was using an auto tracker only just to know how many quick swaps to go from mirror to flute in the different times you need to do it. Because
I
like
think it's,
mirror, that
yeah.
dungeon is like, is it like 3? Is it 4?
Yeah,
But
I mean,
yeah,
I think it's also very reasonable to be able to do that, right? Because especially, you know, like this late in the game where your inventory is, I mean, it is pretty full. You don't certainly have everything, but it can certainly be, you know, a bit more of like a, just like a rally, I guess, in order to try and figure out how many quick swaps you need in some direction.
You may have noticed on Chex's side, it was a little bit tough to see, but he did a hook dash to that rock so that he would gain the spin speed state, so that he would have it as he exited. Normally, you would get hook speed on the stairs and then use your menu to hammer. But since you don't have that, right, you hook shot to the rock and you use that time while you pick up the rock to quick swap to hammer to make that a little bit faster. Although the problem is that like when you do that though, and a dead rock hits you, you're defenseless because you can't use your sword, and that's what happened to Chex there. And so he took an extra hit because he couldn't use his sword to get them out of the way because he already had the spin speed state.
Next time somebody holds a tournament, we're just gonna make a powder mandatory, so we can basically punish dead rocks. All right, Bydey actually going into Tridex with quite a bit of health here. Actually, very very healthy. So hopefully this fight should go okay for him. Another, I think, option for people to be using quick swap here. This one might be deceptively more difficult because I think you have to kind of time things, right? So you can't actually, just like when you can't, you know, menu to certain things when something is exploding, you also can't quick swap when something is exploding as well, right? So in this case, yeah, the timing is just a little bit tight in order to basically quick swap from the ice rod to the fire rod at the very end.
Yeah, Tridex is one of the boss fights that quick swap makes harder for sure.
How did the temper sword not hit?
Yeah, that was weird.
That I only expect that from the hammer, not the sword.
This is a really good TR on Bydey's side. Ooh, Chex getting the challenging RNG, handling it. Oh no, just slightly too high.
Okay, well we get a little bit of extra content on Chex's side. We get, I guess that's Tears of the Kingdom Ganon, Breath of the Wild Ganon. It's quite cute, in a very non-Ganon way. Like the pig is exceedingly more red, I think, than I would have imagined. But maybe that's just what Ganon looks like in that game.
Yeah, and that was a 7-second gold TR on Bydey's side.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's nuts.
So he's like in range to PB. Like his Ganon is PB is a 701, which in Vanilla Preset, like he can certainly beat that fairly easily. So there's some potential here for a PB on Bydey's side.
Yeah, well, the PB might actually include using Samaria's Trust for Lamos too, as Bydey is kind of putting it out in chat here. Might get some pretty good popcorn.
Dude, this MSU is fantastic. I guess we're on Bydey's audio on the stream now, but I'm still listening to Chex's audio.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't even realize we switched.
Alright, yeah, so like GT Basement, still pretty similar. That one room back there, the double crystal switch room, is a bit more challenging without the menu to hookshot, but Bydey handled it extremely well.
You can say you're right. And I think you mentioned this before. Bydey, I think, primarily came from the NMG like vanilla, a vanilla game kind of set. So for him to kind of like be dabbling, I guess, more and more on the randomizer, kind of like already seeing a good amount of like basically like execution and skill mastery with the random specific stuff is actually really good to see. Not to mention basically some combination, with his regular, just base execution, for rando NMG stuff. I mean, he is just an exceedingly powerful force to deal with.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a new player in that mentor tournament facing that sounds like not a fun time.
Trinex just about down for checks as well. No ice, basically, also on both sides. When Bydey fought Trinex, also when Chex is fighting Trinex now, is really good to see. Trinex City, the second phase getting just a little bit farther out. Trinex was kind of, I guess, playing keep away from Chex for a little bit, but Chex still took him down. Remembering in this case that yes, the heart container for Trinex, or at least maybe for that arena, spawns in the middle. So Chex was all ready, basically, for him not to, be waiting basically in some far out corner. Probably one of the hardest things in this case, as a randomizer goes, for like an enemizer, is that you're always like trying to like basically wait for the prize when some random boss you're fighting, and then it just ends up dropping in the middle for you.
Yeah, I swear these vanilla ROMs always have bad Gannon Z RNG. I don't know, maybe it's copium, okay. But like it's every time.
All right, we'll have to, I guess, like see a couple more races in order to kind of see the sample size here.
That's a really nice start to the gauntlet on Bydey's side. Yeah, going for the greedy arrow. Go! Why aren't you walking down? Oh my gosh! I shouldn't have said anything.
Everything's fine.
I wonder if he does the arrow strat in here normally. Okay, he gets the good RNG anyway.
Yeah. Well, we've already switched over to the fire rod too, so it's quite nice.
All right, so it looks like we're getting the cane. Here we go.
All right, go for it. Yeah, Bydey's a man of his word here. Gonna do some Mario strats. All right. So typically, what can happen is that the landmos start moving, right? Basically, once you freaking into the roof. Oh my gosh! What? All right, you were saying that this is a very PBable attempt on Bydey's side. That definitely helped things.
I wonder if Chex is watching that and he's like, "Oh, the landmo 2 RNG. I can use the cane."
Oh, that'd be hilarious. Oh, that was super, super well done. What I am told, you can correct me if I'm wrong, in this case, that it is not always, like the success rate is not super reliable, but, Bydey in this case managed to pull it off. So.
Yeah, you definitely can't do it every time. I don't know what the percentage is, but it is not 100, that's for sure.
I don't even know if it's like, it might be over majority. Like I don't know how much over majority if it is.
I remember somebody saying like 30%, but
okay, that is definitely not over majority. yeah, it's but know. It is. Yeah, but it's definitely really cool to see on Bydey. Oh, Bydey, unfortunately, just quite not having enough magic. Now that magic bar is really deceptive when it comes to the last hit. But luckily, we've got the lamp, and we've got quick swap. So really, very, very minimal time loss here.
Yeah, Bydey putting together a pretty respectable GT.
Yeah, I think it was G2 that kind of really just did not want to cooperate with the last Zigzag, but I mean Bydey basically just cleaned up everything after that, which is really good. Alright, Chex has secured his requisite number of arrows in order to go up and start his climb on GT. I am kind of curious to see if this case he's gonna do some Mario strats. I think maybe I don't know if I've ever seen him do some Mario strats for
yeah, like I don't even know how to do it. Like yeah. Nice setup here. Oh, that was kind of unfortunate that shot out like that.
I guess for what it's worth, though, as you said, right? So this fight is also seeded. So if Chex is watching right now, he can kind of at least get a sneak preview as to how it's gonna behave.
Yeah, this is a little. Bydey was on pretty fat gold pace here. I think he still is gonna get a gold, but it's not as big as it would have been. Yeah, so you think about that Agnum 2 fight, normally on some of the cycles, Aghanim can fire blue balls, but that doesn't happen in the rando ROM. So in terms of like your positioning, you can be super greedy because you know he's never going to shoot any blue balls, so you can take advantage of that and like do positions that normally would be too risky. So the other thing about this is with Ganon normally has random warps in phase 3, whereas in this there's going to be 0 warps. You can still get the blue Ganon, but he won't warp any extra times.
Yeah, that was actually a really slick hook shot there on Bydey's side in order to get to the torch. I guess to get in better position or early position.
I've seen him do that in NMG. That's one of the Bydey strats that he concocts.
It looks really cool, but holy cow, it also looked kind of scary. Not gonna lie, it was super close to Ganon, and he's not really at a position where he can probably take a direct Ganon contact hug. But you know what? Bydey knows exactly what he's doing because he is doing quite well for himself right here. Just gonna get torch clips with the lamp, and then we're just gonna get 12 more spins on phase 4.
Yeah, playing a little safe in the race situation.
Yeah, it's totally very fair.
Completely understandable.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he closes out, he's like gonna basically tie his PB.
No, that's awesome then. Yeah, because at least for the last 3 splits, it looks like at the end game stuff, he basically has just golded all of them, and so definitely really good pace for the end game here.
Yeah, huge GGs to Bydey, who is going to win this race. See what his official time is.
Oh, not quite the PB, but this is still very solid. Holy cow!
Yeah, 1:14.50. Any 1:14 is a
this is
Time.
amazing. No, super smooth sailing. Speaking of Bydey, GGs, welcome.
Thank you.
Really well done. Nice landmost too. Thank you.
Yeah, always having fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I think I mentioned this at the very beginning. I don't know how much audio you had, but I mean, like I always really enjoy watching you because like your energy is just so positive. It's so upbeat. You just look like you're always just having so much fun. It just really shows too. So.
Oh, I appreciate that.
You need to slide that camera over the game feed in the corner, then we can really enjoy it. But yeah, man, like great run. Like that Dark World was very strong. Like when you're running a random seed, it's a little hard to beat your PB Light Worlds, but in your Dark World, you just crushed it.
Yeah, I was super happy with that. I was really relaxed. I didn't really make too much mistakes apart from what was my big mistake? I lost a bunch of time in Hera. Aga Tower, I lost about 10 seconds. And then Desert, I think I had a 5 cycle as well, which was terrible. But other than those 2 splits, I was pretty happy with everything else.
That really Lambo pattern was awful. To be fair, nobody's gonna run this seed again.
Yeah, I hope to. Yeah, it was pretty bad, and I think Chex didn't do it so well either, if I saw correctly. I don't know what he had on his side, but it wasn't very friendly.
Yeah, I think you guys had the same. Very similar fights.
What happened to him?
Chex took an unfortunate death to Argus. He went in with like 2.5 hearts, and he dropped his hook dash on like one of the last hits when Argus is like right in your face. And sometimes you just take 2 hits, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
He did not read your file name.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I didn't see anyone in the chat talking about it, actually. Like, no one said it, I don't think. So I didn't actually have a clue what was going on for the longest time. Because, he was not too far behind, and then all of a sudden he was like 2 minutes behind, and I had no clue why.
Yeah, like coming out of Skull, it was only like 20 or 30 seconds or so. It was pretty close. But then you guys both took very different routes, despite doing the dungeons in the same order.
Yeah, it's one of these things. When you die, it's pretty much over unless your partner makes a big mistake. Like it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Like you're gonna lose 3 minutes to any 124, 25, even 126 runner. Like you're gonna have to make some major mistakes in order for the race. And it can happen though. Like you never give up, and like it's happened. I've had it before where I've died and won a couple of times, and I've been on the other side of it too. When I've been ahead and my partner's died, and I've died a couple of times in the dark world, and you know, like it's racing for you, you know. So GG's in the chat for checks there. There's like
GG's.
any straightaways there.
Yeah, big GG's to Shax. He did very, very well done. Yeah, and like really, yeah, as you kind of like saw earlier, is that it was just really unfortunate for that Argus fight. Speaking of though, GG's checks, welcome.
Hello.
Go GG checks.
GG's dudes. Sorry about the death, man.
GG.
You didn't read my file name. You must have had a rough swamp then. Like, what happened? You were 2 hearts going into the fight?
Yeah, it was tough. RNG was really bad, and Diver Down was really bad.
Yeah, and like you got hit by that crab on the overworld.
Oh, I forgot about the crab.
A lot of unfortunate events that kind of led to that.
That's right, I forgot about that. And I saw it happen twice.
Other than that, like you had a fairly solid run otherwise, or you happy for the most part with the rest of it?
No, not really. I'm just not playing well today. And I will say that Thieves was pretty good, 1 second over gold. And Ice was okay, 3 seconds over gold. And otherwise it was just hard to play well. And I just haven't been able to practice too much because I've been addicted to Tears of the Kingdom.
Fair enough.
Well, this is kind of like playing Tears, right? With the Link sprite, or with the Tears.
It is. I'm trying to make it more like it. Yeah. So yeah, just came back from work and started playing. So didn't work out in my favor, but you know, I'll be grinding this category at some point, but maybe now, not right now.
Fair enough.
I'm feeling so rusty. I just couldn't really do too well. But you know, it just shows what the dangerous points are. When things don't go my way, I can just take 2 hits to Argus very quickly, and that is a learning moment.
That's
so
really great.
I knew it was possible, but hey, there it is. So that's all right. GG's Bydey. That looked like a really hot run.
It was pretty good. Like my Dark World was very good. Like it didn't really put a foot wrong. I mapped. I grabbed a map at the start of the game, by the way.
I saw that.
Yeah, the very first test of the game, I just grabbed them out and I was like, oh my god, here we go again. I was like you, Chex, last week. I was all over the place. I was going the wrong way. I was grabbing the wrong chest, and I was getting all the rando chests, and I was terrible run. And this week was complete opposite. Like it didn't make really a single mistake. So hopefully next week will be a lot better for you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, speaking of next week, I think only one other match in Tower of Hera division has been completed, which was Doomtap bested Ralkin. So I guess Doomtap maybe is a potential opponent for you, Bydey, and maybe Ralkin would be a potential opponent for you, Chex. Any thoughts?
I will not be winning that race, but I'll do my best.
Let's see. So who else is also left in Tower of Hera that hasn't played? I believe it's Gem versus Fox and Airy versus Matt. Yeah, just more cupcake opponents, right?
The fair thing would be for me to trade into the Desert Palace with Corey. Corey can come to Hera, and I believe in Corey.
We believe in you.
Of course,
too,
the points will go toward my record, and it'll improve my score for the season.
It's actually just like super cool book, by the way, for both of you to kind of showcase like some random specific stuff. A lot of quick swapping to boomerang usage. That hook shot at the very end, by the way, like to the torch on at Ganon, that was actually pretty slick, Bydey.
That's a Bydey special. That is. I came up with that because I was fed up getting hit in NMG. I was fed up getting hit by the trident. It wouldn't happen all the time, but every so often it would happen, and it would always happen, like, you know, on a PB pace or something. So I came up with something for it, and basically it's easy. If he goes to the right, you just hook shot to the right lamp, and if he goes to the left, you hook shot to the left lamp, and it's completely consistent every single time. Like, he'll never hit you, and it's really easy. You don't have to dodge RNGs and this and look at stuff. You just hook left or hook right, depending on which way he warps. It's actually really slick.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Just one thing I want to ask you guys is that, like, so I don't know how much of this category you ran before this league season, because I don't know, for myself, I never really had a reason to run it, but how are you enjoying running this vanilla preset as opposed to, you know, a normal NMG league?
I'm going to be truly honest here, and I'm going to say that I really enjoy it. I've really enjoyed the mix-up of it. I actually really enjoy the quality of life stuff. Like, I'm a die-hard NMG runner, but I do also think that this is fantastic as well. It's a way to get more runs in. There's no, you know, waiting in text box. There's cooler strats. The route's different. I think it's fantastic. I really enjoy loving running both of them, and I'm really glad that season 4 was this. So yeah, brilliant for me.
And I will say that it is difficult. Learning to quick swap on top of the NMG run is like learning a new game to play at the same time that you're playing the original game. So it's really challenging. And the speedrun is not my area of expertise because I am better with glitches. But I'm trying. I'm trying here.
I was saying that quick swap makes the run harder, much harder, not easier. Yeah.
100% agree. Yep, 100% agree. I just happen to... Sorry, go ahead, Chexhuman.
It seems like it'll be easier for me to PB by 10 minutes if I have an idea of the RNG of the seed. PB by 10 minutes more than I could in NMG. So I am hoping for a 114 here before I go back to NMG. So we'll see.
I'm sure you'll get it.
Yeah, it's like the one thing is, like, when I practice this or I do a run, like, do I just do a random seed and make it super hard to PB, or do I just play the same seed over and over again and make it not good practice for anything else? Like, it's kind of tough to decide what to do.
It has its pros and cons. Like, I think if you lock the seed, you will get very good at that seed, but you'll screw up your muscle memory, like, for fights. So, like, you get used to, like, Lamo Bean, where he has Mold Arm, Argus, and then when it comes to actually doing it for real, then you're all over the place. So I think there's pros and cons to both of them. Depends if you want a PB or if you want to get better at the game overall, I think, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, if you guys don't have any last words, Clearmos, you want to send us out?
So thank you so much, guys. This was actually a really fun race to watch. Thank you so much. You guys played, I think, very well. Outside of that unfortunate Argus death, I think this race was both runs super fun. So thank you so much. Best of luck, of course, to you guys next week when you face yet another super easy opponent, TBD. Thank you, Matt, so much. It's a lot of fun tonight. To be able to do commentary with you, and best of luck, of course, to you racing Airy on Saturday, right? Saturday, 3 p.m. Yes.
Always a pleasure for the commentary.
Yes. And I think that's it. Chugs, you have anything else to say tonight?
No, thank you for doing that for me. I'm very glad when I don't have to do the wrap up. I appreciate that. Just add my GGs as well. Keep an eye on the ZSR schedule. Plenty more NMG and other things coming up in the next few days. Any final thoughts before we head on out for the night?
Thank you again so much for basically restreaming this. It looks like you were basically the hero to put this to put this entire show on the air.
I sat here and did nothing for an hour and a half, but I will take that. Thank you very much. Until next time, all, please stay safe out there. We will see you back here soon, and have a good night.
Peace.
I really.